All right, hello everybody, and welcome back. Joined by David St. John. Dusty bailed on us. He's in Charleston, South Carolina this weekend. He sent me some pictures out there doing some deep sea fishing, having a big time. So
deep sea fishing.
We'll just hope that his boat sinks since he's having fun and we weren't invited. He had some good pictures. Actually, he was catching a fish which I don't deep sea fish that much. I've been once.
I've never been.
And that was this last year with Dusty and his wife, and Melissa went with me, and we went to off the coast of North Carolina, Outer Banks, and did some fishing out there. A lot of fun. But he's out there fishing again, and he caught something called a shade fish. That's something I hadn't heard of. Maybe real common, but I just don't.
Yeah, I've never heard of a shade fish.
And then he said he showed me a picture with his pole bent, and said, that was an 800-pound shark. He says that he fought for 30 minutes and it got off at the boat. And I'm like, man, I can send you a picture of a bent pole anytime I get hung up.
That's exactly right.
I don't know that I'm gonna. We're gonna have to talk a little. When he gets back, we're gonna bring this up next time he's on a podcast with us and see.
Bent pole, 800-pound shark.
Yeah, and I asked him, I said, why don't you just lean over the boat and lip him?
Yeah, we do that in Arkansas. Not
right.
An 800-pounder. But
we'll find out why he wouldn't want to lip that shark. But anyway, now you guys, before we came on here, it's always fun. Like I've always said, we should start the camera before we actually get going with the podcast, because a lot of times, Jake in here with us, and Dusty sometimes, it gets pretty deep in here, and we got talking before we actually start the podcast. That might be the best stuff. Now, y'all were talking about sushi.
Oh, goodness. Yep, we were talking about sushi.
Now, what did you say you like? What was the fish that you liked the most?
Yellowtail.
Yellowtail.
Yeah.
Tuna.
Yellowtail tuna.
And I've heard Jake talk about catching tuna before. I believe it was tuna. He said, and they, like, right off the boat, like you caught it and just cut into it and just eat this. A samurai sword chopped it. I don't know. I'm not as brave as you guys. I mean, my fat ass could use a tapeworm, but I don't know if,
it's like I asked you want to pay that price?
Yeah, I don't know about, Planet Fatness over here is not expensive. Just takes a lot of work and time. I don't know if I'm willing to put in, but I don't know. I might try that tapeworm method. But I mean, do you worry about that? Is it how much of a risk is that, like a parasite in something like that? Is it a real risk, or?
I've never had it. I mean,
a lot of sushi, and I've never been sick.
Jake's never been sick. Eats a lot of sushi.
Now, I mean, it's kind of like, I love oysters too, but there's a particular time of the year you don't eat oysters. I mean, I've seen people actually get sick with that.
Yeah.
What
does it have to do with the timing? I know they're a filter feeder, so it's what they're filtering through them. What is it that dictates when they're safer to eat, and when you should avoid them?
There's a saying, like, is it an R in the month or something? Yeah. That you either can or can't. Yeah, if it's an R in the month, I think you eat it. Like July, you don't. June, April, you can eat them. May, you don't.
So just what cooler? Just a cooler month, just cooler water.
I guess I don't know. I'm just careful. It's funny because when I know they have oysters somewhere, I don't know about Jake, but I'll pull my phone out and I'll start looking and say, what's the saying to be able to eat oysters? And then I'll go, nope, not eating them today.
Yeah. Man, who knows when that oyster was harvested too.
Exactly.
Man, I don't know. I'm kind of funny about eating it. I mean, you look at me and say I'm not a picky eater, but there's some kind of adventurous stuff I just can't do. Like, I can eat stuff cooked. Like, I've had oysters cooked, but I wouldn't want to eat raw oysters. And, like, when I go to a sushi place, it's got to be something that is cooked. I can't do the
kind
sashimi.
Shrimp,
I can't do the sashimi.
Shrimp tempura, that's cooked. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I can do stuff that's cooked, but I don't know. I guess I'm just not adventurous enough to get into the actual.
Now, I don't go out on the realm of sushi a lot and just eat raw fish just anytime, when I go to a sushi place or whatever. A lot of mine that I have is cooked.
I'll tell you another thing about me that surprises most people from the South is I grew up in the middle of nowhere. So it was boring summers, It was, you know, you had 3 channels on TV.
Right.
You're there during the day. I was outside all the time. And one thing I love to do, had a buddy that lived over there close to me, and we had Cache River bottoms. We had some lakes, ponds, a lot of ditches around, irrigation ditches, stuff around. Frog gigging was always fun. I don't know how, when I was young, I don't know how many frogs I gigged. I don't know how many frogs we shot. I don't know how many frogs I cleaned and prepared for other people. I've never had a frog leg. I've never eaten a bite.
You did all that and you never ate
Did
frog
all
legs?
that and I never ate it. I mean, it's a damn frog. It's got, you know, it's a fly-eating, nasty, slimy frog, and I can't do it. Now, you can turn around and argue that a chicken is just as nasty, if not nastier, and I eat that all the time, and you're right. I mean, I can't fight that argument, but there's just something about it that I can't get past. I don't know.
Have you ever watched the Yardbird and what they eat?
I know. You're right. I mean, I get it. You're absolutely right. There's
June bugs and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but it's a frog, man. I just can't get past it.
Man, frog legs are good.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Really, really good. I'm not going to sit here and say it tastes like chicken either because they, you know. But
what would you rather have, frog legs or chicken?
Frog leg.
Really?
Yes. I'd rather have frog legs. I'd rather eat ditch food too. I love crawfish, so I mean.
I like crawfish too. Yeah, and there's no telling what they eat.
Yeah,
you know, that's not probably not great, but yeah. Well, we got Father's Day this weekend, so happy Father's Day to you.
Same to you.
Thank you. Now I've been kind of getting some good advice from David because he's a little ahead of me in this game. I waited till late in life to have a child. I've got one little girl, and I was barely hanging on to my 30s when she was born. I was about to hit 40. So, and she's 9. So this is putting me, you know, getting pretty old. I always tell everybody the good thing about waiting as long as I did to have little girls that I enjoy, I think I take more time with them. Like I understand at 40 how fast time goes, and I better enjoy every step along the way.
That's right.
I'm a lot more in tune to that. If I'd had her when I was in my 20s, I would have missed out on a lot because I wouldn't have really thought about that. The bad thing is, of course, she got an old man for a daddy. That's the bad part of it. But so I'm going through this now with a young girl. She's 9, about to hit 10 this year, and man, the thought of just some boy coming and picking her up in a truck and taking her out on a date just. I mean, I can feel my skin crawling right now just thinking about it. So you've been through all that, and now you've got a daughter getting married here, what, a couple weeks?
Here next month. I've got my oldest daughter, Kaylee. She's getting married July 21st.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe.
Bring tear to your eye, I promise you.
Yeah, well, it don't bring one to mind. It's not my daughter, but I've known her forever, you know, and she's a little girl. And
yep. My girls, you know, they were hunting buddies of mine. They duck hunted with me, deer hunted with me. They both killed, you know, deer and things like that. And, you know, getting the picture last year, Kaylee in a deer stand with a guy that's, you know, she's now going to be marrying.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on a deer stand going, man, she used to sit with me, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's tough, but you know, proud for her. She's found a guy that she's, you know, in love with, and it's awesome for her.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I know I'll get there one day and probably feel the exact same way you do. But right now, like when I go hunting now, I can sit here like I'm looking for ducks, but I'm also looking over here and I'm like, you had a body over there. You know, I don't think anybody comes through here much, you know, or,
right.
You know, so I watch a lot of these crime shows, and I'm taking notes. It's like it's a very instructive show now, rather not entertaining, but instructive as you go. But anyway, one thing too, I always laugh about Father's Day. Now I go to a Baptist church. What church do you go to?
We go to New Life Church.
New Life Church. Yeah. Jake, you Baptist? Jake's Baptist as well. One thing, I don't know about your church. I bet it's the same thing. With the Baptist church, on Mother's Day, the pastor just gushes for the mothers about how wonderful they are, you know, and how they need to be respected and all they do, and they're underappreciated. We need to appreciate more, and just gushes over how awesome and how wonderful they are, which they are.
That's right.
Most of them.
Yeah.
But then Father's Day hits, and the tone totally changes. Like that pastor's just going to drag you through it. You know, you got to step up, men. You got to have to do better. You got to start leading your family. You know, we got too many deadbeat men, which I can't argue with. But
Sure.
you know, it's like we get off this love fest for Mother's Day, and then you go get a pretty good tongue lash. You get beat up a little bit on Father's Day. Is it like that in your church?
Well, what's interesting is our pastors during Father's Day, they always point out that the most attended service that they have throughout the whole year is Mother's Day.
Really?
And the least attended is Father's Day because they always want to go fishing or go to the lake.
It's funny you said that because our pastor did that last week. He's like, now guys, you lead your family and get back to church next Sunday. Don't be taking that as a day off. And maybe that's why he says that. But
That's right.
When he started, I thought, man, he's already beating up on us. We ain't even got there yet.
But yeah, they pointed that out, each year. And it's kind of funny because, anytime my wife says, we're going to church today, and I said, it's my day. And she goes, well, yeah, we'll go to church. We don't want it to be for our family the least attended, service, but it's, it's pretty good. It's kind of funny, but you've hit the nail on the head. It's kind of like Mother's the Roses, and then all of a sudden it's the least attended day is Father's Day.
Yeah, we get chewed out in church. We get a pair of socks when we get home, and that's about the end of it.
Socks, ties,
Yeah, hopefully you can get a nap in there.
I was told I was
somewhere.
getting a wheelbarrow because I'm using one my wife's grandfather had that he actually basically probably built,
Yeah.
And we were moving rock a few weeks ago, and my wife said, well, I know what I'm getting you for Father's Day. I'm getting you a wheelbarrow.
And that's like the equivalent of getting a woman a vacuum cleaner for Mother's Day. Or
I made a
something
comment
like
about that the other day, and my wife looked at me and she goes, well, you got me gravel to put in the flower bed. I said, well, okay, you're right.
Yeah, that's love changes as the years go on. I mean, the romance level changes. That's funny.
But it's fun. I mean, it's fun. Being a father. And of course you've got a girl, and I've got two girls. So, we have things that go through our head all the time because we have girls.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a boy, but it's an interesting category to be a father to two daughters.
Yeah, I mean, one keeps me pretty busy. I can't imagine. I think I've always said, good Lord knew what He was doing when He gave me a little girl, because I think I'd be too hard on a little boy. I'd probably too hard on him, and the little girl just, man, she plays me like a fiddle. She knows how to melt me, and
they'll wrap you around that finger.
Yeah, and she knows what she's doing. I'm getting conned all the time, and I know I'm getting conned, but okay.
Yeah, it's okay. That's right.
Yeah, as a little boy, I'd probably give him a whipping. It's her, I'll go get her some ice cream, same scenario.
We'll go out there and clean out the garage or something.
Yeah. Well, man, we've been turning a lot of calls, getting built back up. This is always an odd time of year to me than the call business, because there's a lot of money going out. There's just not a lot coming in, because you're in off season. It's a seasonal business.
That's right.
So we're building up, trying to get all our inventory, everything ready for the fall.
Right.
One thing that I know I've been having a lot of fun with, I think you have too, is we've been working on a couple different double reed models that we're really having some fun with.
As big as single reed guys that we are, these double reeds that we've been working on, I mean, I heard you make that comment. I said, man, that might be going on my lanyard this year to hunt with, and because, double reeds, they're easier to blow, and there's a myth out there that they're actually harder because it takes more air to blow two reeds instead of one, which is not true. But, typically the double reeds are easier to blow. But man, the ones we're working on right now, they sound like a single reed to me.
They do to me too. One thing that, like, when I was getting into making calls, I was not, because of the attitude that we always had about double reeds. To me, in the past, double reeds, that top reed was always kind of looked at as training wheels.
Right.
To make an easier operating call.
Yep.
And so when I first got into call making, I wasn't planning to even make a double reed. I had a single, and I went to my first store here in Sushi to talk to the gentleman, see if he would be interested in carrying elite calls in his store. And the first question he asked, he's like, "Well, do you have a double reed?" I said, "No, I'm not making double reeds." And he said, "Well, that's most of what I sell. So if you're not making double reeds, we probably won't carry them." I said, "Well, I'll be back. It looks like I'm making double reeds. I'll be back." We went and we designed one, and it was fun. And one thing that I always tried to do, like, to me, the knock that I'd always had in the past on double reeds was that they were too high pitched and they were too fine. There wasn't enough raspiness in there. It just had a fine, higher pitched sound to it that I didn't like. So when designed it, we worked on trying to get a deeper tone and a little bit more rasp into that call. And over the years, we've just kept working on it. And man, I think we really have something pretty special now. Like, it's not like, I don't look at this as like, here's a call. It's okay, well, if you don't want the single, try this. I mean, it's like everybody walks in, whether you blow a single reed or whatever you blow, you need to try that thing.
You need to try the double reed that we've got. We've got the cash DR, and then we got the double murder. Man, they're spot on. I mean, I'm with you. I might be carrying one of them with me as well. Just, I mean, because they've got that good deep tone to them. It doesn't take near as much air, but they have pretty much the same tone. There's a little variance in the tone, but not quite like what you were describing about a regular double reed. With that little bit higher pitched. But man, them things, and they're smooth. I mean, we bang on them pretty hard too, because the old saying is, if you learn how to blow a single reed, you can blow any call out there. And I still believe that, but even being able to blow this double reed and have the tone that it's got has just been awesome.
What I like is kind of what we've done, and it's been good having you here now at the shop to bounce ideas off of. I love what we did, and basically, as that top reed is going to make that call a little bit, calm it down a little bit, we've designed it to be a double reed, of we're going to make this thing probably a little rough, but then that top reed, we're going to calm it back down, and it's going to put it in that range that we want. And that's been really fun to design, and doing that, I think, with double murder and with this new DRC, the double reed cash. I mean, and I was really surprised at how much I like that double reed cash. I knew that, double murder, I'd played with that in the past, and I thought that's a good sounding duck call. We got this double reed cash, which is kind of our mid-range call. It's not our softest. Our softest would be a little hurricane, but it's what I'd call a good mid-range, just pure duck, as far as your volume and everything. And that put together as a double, I mean, it's one of those, like, you put it down, it's like, I want to go pick it up again and blow it, just because it's so much fun to try.
And years ago when you first started Elite Calls, I came over, we were talking, and the first call that I liked the most of was the cash. And so I've got a what I call old school cash, because they're a little bit different now, but it sounds the same. So, I mean, and to blow that double reed cash, I'm probably going to have that one on there on that lanyard as well, using it, because I love the cash. And like you said, it's a mid-range call, and I kind of like the softness of it. But, I mean, the ones that we're using, I mean, even the double reed or the double murder is just, man, that thing bangs as well. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited to get people to try it. And we got a good opportunity coming up, because we've got anybody that's in the area, and it'd be worth traveling to. We went to the Ducks, DUX,
Fort Worth.
Yeah, Ducks Unlimited show in Fort Worth. Had a great time there. We've got the Delta Waterfowl show that was an awesome show last year, and I'm sure it will be again this year in Little Rock, coming up July 28th through the 30th, I think.
28th through the 30th, State House Convention Center, I believe.
Great place to have a show. It's nice and cool in there. You're getting into the hotter time of the month.
Right.
But or the hotter time of the year, I should say. But you go inside, it's nice and cool. Duck season is not that far off. We're just about to start August. We're getting ready to shoot some dove and get a little bit closer to hunting season. So it's a great show.
It's flying by. I mean, I remember when I started with you a few months back, and we were talking about getting involved in the to the Delta Expo, and I thought, well, that's a few months off. Man, it's here upon us. It's right at a month, going on a month away, a month and a week or whatever. But I think that'll be a pretty good show. There's going to be a lot of vendors there, and that's a place where we'll have the cash or the DRC, and then we'll have the double murder as well.
They have such a good show. Like last year, they were basically making calls to, it was a new thing having it there in Little Rock. So they were actually calling people, trying to get them to come in as vendors.
Right.
And had called me, and I was, well, yeah, I could probably do that. We talked about it and decided to go to it. And I didn't really think about it this year. I kept waiting on to get word back about, hey, the show's coming up, to sign up again. Well, turned out a lot of that email was getting missed. It was going into kind of like a junk mail type thing. I wasn't seeing it. And so when I called, I'm like, hey, the show, when do I need to sign up for the show? And they're like, well, we're already sold out of booths, because word got out of how great that show was. I mean, it had a lot of people there. It was just and the vendors there were really great. Sometimes you go to these shows and no offense to anyone, but I don't go to a waterfowl expo to watch people sell pots and pans or trinkets of some kind. Wasn't any of that. It was all hunting stuff. It was some great companies. It was fun to walk around and talk to everybody. Everybody that was there seemed to really have a great time. So I think word got out on what a good show this was, and they were sold out of booths. So I had to pretty much beg over the phone to get in there. And the guy said, well, all right, I'm going to put you in this spot. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it's going to be like. I'm like, you get me in the building. Yeah. We can put some tables together. We'll make us a booth somehow, and we'll get through it. But we'll
be behind that big post.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a big post, right? Just give us something to lean on. I'm used to leaning on a post, doing some deep thought. But for all you guys that are out there thinking about coming to it, I already had one customer saying, hey, I need to get a call retuned. Bring your call with you. Come see us. We'll retune your call. We can talk about duck calling, anything that you want to talk about. And I love selling calls at an event like that. Number one, you're going to get a discount. There's always at shows, we always run some type of a special, so you can get a discount on your call. And I think it's really cool that the person can actually blow the call, make sure they're getting something that fits them, or we're there with our tuning kits. We can adjust a call for them. If it's just a little hard to blow or any little adjustment that they need, we can make it right there on the spot and know that they're walking off with a call that they love, that fits them.
Exactly. We'll have our tuning kits right there. So, how many times have we ever done that at shows, tuning calls for people? But yeah, come on out, man. We'll have a great time. We'll have a lot of stuff. We'll have some shirts, some hats. Like I said, we'll have the 2 new double reeds with us, and we'll be ready to roll.
I'll tell you a funny story. This is if I remember anything from the Delta show from last year, and I wish I had this on video. Very random thing. Braden was with me. We're going to set up. We get there early, and they haven't let everybody in the building yet. And I was going down to check one door that was on the far side where I knew there's some escalators over there, and I thought, well, maybe that door's unlocked. Maybe we can get in that way. So I'm going to test the door, and it's not open yet. And there was this lady, very nice lady, that was walking up and had a dog with her. And, we're right there in the street. This is like, oh yeah, in town out there on the street. She's got her lab. And, she's saying, do they letting us in yet? And she had a real thick northern accent, which I know I've got the southern accent. So it really stands out to me when I hear the northern accent, And I was like, no, I don't think that. And when I turned around to look at her and she's asking me this question, the dog behind her is now in full squat. Dropping a big load right in the middle of the street. Yeah. And I'm just, and she's talking to me, and I'm wanting to point, but I don't want to interrupt her at the same time. Yeah. And finally I was like, no, ma'am, I don't think they're going to let us go in this morning. And I just kind of pointed. I said, well, I bet he feels better. And she turned around and she looks and she goes, ow, buck, and screams it. But it didn't sound like she said buck. It sounded like she said something else. She's a little more frustrated, and now she's got something to clean up. But I thought, yeah, she she's feeling my pain right now.
Yeah.
But Buck felt much better.
Buck felt
So
better.
I hope she and Buck are back again this year. I hope to see them there. But, yeah, it's going to be a fun time. You guys, like I said, find us if you come to the Delta Expo, July 28th through the 30th. It's going to be a great time. Come by the booth, try some calls, try these new double reads. Even if you're skeptical, like, okay, right, double read, I'm not really interested. It's kind of like you get two camps. People they either want double reads and that's all they want because that's
right.
what they like, or all they want is singles. Even if you're from your team single read, come try the double and let us know what you think.
I think you'll be impressed with that double read.
Yeah, I think you will too. It's and hopefully all the calls. We've been really. That's one thing I enjoy. It's frustrating making calls. Everybody thinks it's just a ton of fun. It can be so frustrating. There's no doubt in my mind I'm not going to live as long as I would have had I not started making duck calls. That will be the death of me. I stay frustrated and stressed out all the time about trying to make sure these things are right. But you and I are both pretty meticulous, and I think that's what we're sound guys. We want them to sound a certain way. We've got a sound in our head, and we want the customer. Every time you sell a call, your goal is you want that customer that to be the best call that they ever had, their favorite call of all time. So that's what you're always striving for. But it's frustrating, but we're very meticulous with them. So I'm really proud of what we're putting out, and I think people are going to like it.
It's been a little road, trying to stay on path with it, and but like you said, I mean, it can drive you insane. Just one little, we talked about a human hair can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, the thousands of an inch adjustments we're making.
Exactly.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how much those little small adjustments can change the sound. But that's one thing. Some people don't like. They feel like if you're not really hand turning on a lathe, cutting it on a jig, that's what they like, and I respect that. That's good old school call making.
That's old school call making.
But when you get into doing the CNC work like we're doing, we have to do that for the numbers of calls that we're making.
Yep.
But I also love the way we can dial those things in. You're making your offsets in thousandths of an inch. You can dial them in, keep them dialed in, and I think it makes for a more consistent sounding call. Something that you're putting out. So
you're right.
But anyway, you guys come check us out at the Delta Expo, and give us a call anytime. 501-207-2994. Give us a shout if we can do anything for you. Be watching social media and stuff. We're going to be putting out some new calls here pretty soon. We're working on them right now, building up. And I think you're going to like what we're coming out with this year. So you guys check it out. Until next time, you guys, hey, great Father's Day, or happy Father's Day to all you guys out there that are fathers. And anyway, if you're still lucky enough to have your father with you, make sure give him a call, spend some time with him this weekend.
Amen.
You guys take care. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.